Okay, with the modeling out of the way, let's get to our UV mapping so that we can add textures and some details. I'm going to start with the main body parts, torso and the hips, but before I do, I want to select the head and I'm going to apply my mirror modifier. Select the torso, apply this mirror modifier, and then the hips and apply this mirror modifier. The arms and legs we keep, we don't want to apply those mirrors just yet, but on the main pieces we do apply the mirror modifier. Right, from there we are going to come up to this top bar over here and select UV editing. So now we'll be able to see our UV maps on this side and adjust the seams for our UV maps on this side on our model. I'm going to select my torso, press / on the numpad to isolate it, and then I'm going to press tab to go into edit mode. I will be using edge select mode and face select mode during this process. I think on the torso it'll only be edge select mode. So I'm going to fold it open from the back. So I need to mark these seams. Now I've done this quite a few times, so I've had practice, which has allowed feel pretty well where the seams should be. A lot of times it's a bit of trial and error, and you sort of try and try again until you get the result you want. With all of these edges selected, I'm going to press Ctrl E to mark a seam and select everything, press U and unwrap angle based. So this is going to be the body. I'm happy with this because I've got the front of the body here. I've got a side here and a side here. This is the top and this is the bottom. Now the thing is, you can change your seams in the UV area or on the model itself, and like I said, sometimes it takes a bit of trial and error, and you can always clear a seam by pressing Ctrl E and selecting clear. Then Blender will no longer cut the model open there for the UVs, although I do need that seam. So when it comes to UV unwrapping, it's a bit of trial and error. You mark seams, you unwrap, you see how it looks, and see where you might change it or add new seams or remove some seams. With this torso and these seams, I'm quite happy with how it unwraps. I'm gonna select everything here on the UV side and just move it off to the side. Go back to object mode and press / to exit isolation mode. Then I'm going to select the hips, press / to isolate it, go into edit mode and see where a good place would be to unfold it. So I'm going to select these seams or these edges and I'm going to turn them into seams. Okay, it's working out well first time. Doing this time, not so much trial and error required, is because I've done quite a bit of trial and erroring in the course of creating this model and testing how to demonstrate. I'm quite happy with this fold with the hips, so I'm going to select that and move it out of the side. I'm moving it here because the torso UVs are lying over here, but I can't see them now because I don't have the torso selected. So I'm going to exit isolation mode, select the torso and the hips, and I'm going to press tab, and then I can see both of their UVs. So I'm just going to start organizing them a little bit and grouping them together. Okay, with the body done, let's move on to the head. I'm going to select the head, / and then go into edit mode. So most of the time for heads, I like the head to fold open from the back so that I have the front of the face and then the sides flat next to it. So on this model, it's going to be all the back edges up until the front faces. These couple of edges and these. And press Ctrl E to mark seam, select all of them and press U and angle based. So that's the head. The head I'm immediately going to place on my UV area, like so. Then I'm going to do the hair. So select the hair, go into edit mode. Now with the hair and with each of the models we've opened, you did notice perhaps that there were already UVs. For primitive shapes like cubes and spheres, Blender does have automatic UVs, or I can't remember, it's something you have to activate. But in my case I do have automatic UVs. However, since we've altered the shape, I would prefer to still do a manual unwrap. So in this case, I'm going to make basically a sideways U selection on the edges on both sides. And then I'm going to say Ctrl E to mark the seam. Select everything and unwrap. Now see, not quite happy with that. So let's see what happens if I add one more seam here. Ctrl E, mark seam. Ah, that's much better. This is very similar to the original UVs provided by Blender, so keep that. And I'll shrink it down quite a bit because it'll end up just being a single color. And I'll place it somewhere here near the head. Okay, so we have the hair, the head, the torso, and the hips. If I select all of them and go into edit mode, I can see all of their UVs. And I'm going to start organizing them already. I'm selecting both the torso and hips at the same time, so that if I scale them, they have the same scale. Although, yeah, it does seem a little bit bigger. So this is the body, that's the head, and that's the hair. And now we're going to add the neck and then move on to the limbs. So the neck and all of the other limbs have a similar mesh structure, so they're all going to follow a similar pattern when it comes to unwrapping. We're going to select the faces on each end of the limb and press Ctrl E to mark that seam. Then with edge select, we will select an edge that runs all the way through to the ends. Ctrl E to mark that and unwrap. So that gives us the neck. Just rotating it a bit. Yeah, it seems a bit warped, but that's okay. I'm going to shrink it down and move it over there. And move on to the limbs. Now you'll see it's the same pattern. Go into edit mode, face select, select these two faces, Ctrl E and select mark seam. Edge select mode, select an edge that runs from one end to the other, Ctrl E to mark seam, select everything and unwrap. Select everything on the UV side, shrink it down a bit and move it off to the side. Then the next part, face select the faces on either end, Ctrl E to mark seam, edge select mode, select an edge that runs from one end to the other, mark seam, select everything and unwrap. Let's see, if I select both of these, so that's the upper arm and the lower arm. We still have not applied our mirror modifier. Let's do the hand. Now the hand is a bit similar to the hair, so we can follow the same seam structure. we'll make a sideways U selection and mark that seam. On the other side, make another sideways U selection. And then select this lower edge at the back, mark that seam, select everything and unwrap angle based. That's going to be our hand. If I select all of these items, press tab, I can see their UVs. Just position the hand close to the arm and move on to the legs. Now the legs follow the same pattern of unwrapping. So I'll select the upper leg, I'll isolate it. I will go to face select mode and select the face on either end. Press Ctrl E to mark the seam. Then go to edge select mode and select an edge that runs all the way from the top to the bottom. Ctrl E and mark seam. Select everything by pressing A. Press U to unwrap and select angle based. Onto the lower leg. Once again the same story. Select the top and bottom faces. Press Ctrl E to mark the seam. Select an edge that runs all the way through. Mark seam and unwrap angle based. Okay, let's select both of these, check where their UVs are, just start organizing them, and then lastly we need to do the feet. Okay, this one was a bit tricky to figure out, but I have found a good way to unfold it. But it is a bit similar to the hand and the hair, where we have U selections on the side. And then one selection across, mark that seam, U to unwrap and select angle based. And that's the foot. Okay, that's all of the pieces. So now we have to organize them all. So I'm going to select all of the pieces and press tab. Okay, here's my shoes on my feet. Scale them down. This is my leg. I don't think the end faces of the limbs pieces really matter that much, so I can shrink them down. But I believe this was the upper leg. This was the upper arm. Okay, so it can be a bit tricky. Your UV area has the same controls as 3D viewport. It's just in 2D. But you can select your vertices, faces and edges, and if you hover over a selection or have one face selected and then press L, it will select that entire section. You can also select everything by pressing A and deselect everything by pressing Alt A. Okay, with that, I'm going to select, I believe this was the forearm. Actually, wait, I want to select the upper arm. Move that over here. This is the hand. Okay. I'm going to scale this down and then take the legs, scale them down as well so that they all fit in on the square in a row. I think this is the neck. Bring the neck here, scale it down. And this will be the shoe, or the foot, and this will be the hand. And this is what you should have more or less with this model in terms of UVs. We have the head, the neck, the torso, the hips, and the hair. We have the upper arm, the lower arm, the hand, the upper leg, the lower leg, and the foot. I'm going to save that. And now I will apply the mirror modifier on the limbs. And the new geometry that gets added will simply share the same UVs as the original. So when I apply this mirror modifier, what's basically going to happen is the UVs for this side and this side are going to be the same, and they're basically going to be lying on top of each other. So I'll select the upper legs, come to my modifiers panel and say apply. Lower legs, apply. Feet, apply. Hands, apply. Forearm, apply. Upper arm, apply. Alright, that's it for the UV unwrapping. Up next is texturing.